Hi, my name is Erica Bugbee. I've been practicing the principles for 23 years. I grew up, um, I was raised by some of the first teachers of the principles. So I kind of grew up learning the principles, but I really struggled when I was a teenager. Um, and 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 I was essentially that was about the lowest point in my life when I was 14. um, and right before I had my first insight. So I'll give you a sense of what that looked like. So I went from being a very happy-go-lucky kid, um, resilient and upbeat and stable, to just being almost overnight very um, dark and either irritable and agitated and in a state of hate and bother, or I was feeling very victimized my life and sorry for myself and crying. So I kind of had two flavors, very strong flavors that I lived in most of the time. So I felt very I just felt a lot of hostility toward people, and felt very alone, and felt a little bit out of sync with even with my friends. I just felt sort of like I don't know, I felt alone, and it was bad enough that I was suicidal. I thought I was going to feel like that forever. I thought something was wrong with me, and that's what life was going to feel like, and I didn't want any part of that. So and I couldn't. I was so worried about myself. I was failing in school. I wasn't talking to my parents. I wasn't talking to my sister. I was just very isolated. Um, I had a conversation with my dad, actually, with George Pransky's my dad. About a year and a half into my struggles, I was willing to kind of get help. They'd been trying to help me. I wasn't interested. I had a conversation with my dad, and I don't really remember what we talked about, but what I heard out of that is that everyone struggles. Everyone gets lost. Everyone gets a little messy. Everybody has mood problems, has low moods. And that was new for me. I was so self-involved and so worried about myself that it didn't occur to me that other people struggled too. Now, I was struggling more than the people around me, I felt. And I think mostly I was very severe. But I realized other people do have ups and downs. I realized my parents struggle. They bicker and get irritable and grouchy and impatient. Sid Banks, one of my, people I learned from, he get frustrated that it was taking so long to get this message out there. And my friends would get, sort of standoffish on certain days. I didn't really understand it. And, or we would bicker. So I realized, oh, they struggle too. And that was a huge relief to me, and new for me. The bigger insight that kind of goes along with that is that everybody recovers, and I recover. And I didn't realize that I recovered. I thought I was down all the time. And what I realized from that conversation, just my own observations, I think after that, is that, yeah, everybody goes down, but I realized I'd come back from it. And in between episodes of being down, even if I'm down most of the time, I would pop back out and hang out with I had a parrot at the time. I would hang out with my parrot. I'd hang out with the cat next door. I'd goof around with my friends. I was into music. My mood state would pop back up. And that was new for me, that I had recovery in there, that I was okay some of the time, was a huge relief to me, because I thought I was just stuck in hell. And I realized, well, I'm stuck a lot of the time, but I come out of it all by myself. I wasn't trying. I just found myself in a lighter, more buoyant state where I didn't have my problems in those moments. And what happened is I started noticing those, and noticing, instead of focusing, and on the downs, I was focusing on the recovery, the fact that I recover, and I kind of started collecting those. And what I realized is, yeah, I go down, but I come back up. And I stopped caring that I went down, because I knew I would come back up. And in a way, I sort of rebranded myself as going from kind of a sick person to a healthy person. And what that did for me at the time, and what it's done for me since, is that I am not, I've gotten less and less afraid of my lows. I still have lows. I'll still worry about my kids, but I'm not afraid. I know at some point I will come out of it and I will see straight. I know that I will recover from the worry and I'll see what to do. So I think when people get worried, they get sort of immobilized and overwhelmed by the problem, and you can't function. And what I realized is, I'm not all that interested in what my lows have to say. And as a result, I don't get so involved in them, and I recover from them faster. And essentially, I became more fluid. My moods, I moved through them more gracefully and without so much flailing around and buying into them, and kind of would move out of them faster. So, and the way that it's changed my practice, is that I'm not intimidated by how low my clients get, and how dark or how low functioning they get, how symptomatic they get, how agitated they get in their low states. It doesn't scare me, because I know what we're talking about here is recovery and health. And so it brings me a sense of confidence in my clients, and even in my young clients that are really troubled. I have confidence in them before I even get to know them enough to help them. And I think that confidence calms them down. It transmits to people, and it brings me hope and goodwill for them. There's all this space for hope and goodwill because I'm not concerned for them. And I'm still looking to understand how they're doing, but how I talk to them is fortified by my confidence and my reassurance that I feel about them, that if it happened to me, it could happen to them. In terms of how I see this understanding changing the field of psychology and our humans and our understanding of the human spirit, I think that, for me, there was a shift in focus from my mental illness, what I saw as mental illness, and to focus on my health and the fact of mental health. So my focus went from tracking my symptoms and my lostness and what happens to me, the kind of person I turn into, and how clinical I am, how messed up I am, and the different ways I can't function, and how big a deal that is. I stopped tracking that, and I started getting interested in looking for my recovery and having the patience to wait it out, knowing that the chaos will organize itself into order. And that's my hope for the field of psychology, is that the field of psychology my hope for the principles is that the field of psychology will become more interested in learning about health, tracking health, helping clients to track the fact of health, and the teaching that in schools, to not just to be interested, teaching practitioners and future practitioners and psychologists and therapists and counselors to get interested in getting to know the health, what resilience looks like in each person, and how they've shown resilience in their life, and what they're doing well in their life where they're adapting and how they've recovered from things, and to get interested in that themselves so that they start pointing that out to clients. Not that they need to just to dismiss their symptoms, but to get at least as interested in their health and about as they are, and how they struggle. And what that did for me, and what I think that will do for the world, is I felt a sense of hope, that there was another story that I was missing, another plot line that I could feel good about. And maybe I'm a different person than I thought I was. Maybe I'm not a lost cause. So a feeling of hope, and for me, a feeling of belonging, and feeling that I'm a part of the same thing everybody else is a part of. I've been missing that. I felt very alone, and this sense of kind of common ground of, we're in my symptoms, my very clinical symptoms at the time, I felt really weird and out of sync compared to my friends. And, I think we all struggle in a little bit of a unique way, our own flavors of struggle, but, our resilience is the same. We're all similar when we get our bearings back, and we're doing well. We can connect to anybody, and we feel common ground with anybody when we're in an open state of goodwill and calm, and stability. We're all the same. And I think that feeling of community and common ground is what I think the world will feel as the level of consciousness goes up.